The 2026 World Cup is finally almost over. It feels like it has been a crazy month or so. It feels like this has been going on for the entire year with the amount of action that has been jam-packed. And of course, this tournament has found a way to become the most exciting at the very end. To help us predict what is going to happen in the World Cup final, our soccer expert, JackChat, is going to share his picks for that final game, as well as the third place game, which is something that I think Americans don't know enough about. The third place game, that's like actually a thing, which we'll get into. But Jack, I want to just start with our Argentina being this ridiculous late finisher. We were just talking about some of the frustrations from England fans and the disappointment of having to deal with a team that can sneak up on you no matter what's happening. I wonder, and this happens in every sport, at a certain point, does the luck run out, or do you think that this is a skill that they can win late the way that they can?
I think when I saw the England and Argentina lineups, I thought this looks like a balanced game. You know, Argentina historically probably have the bettering of England, and England have a bottle in them, which we all know about. It's the history of England. And that did happen. But from minute one, the passion we saw from the Argentinians, whether some of the fouls probably should have been pulled up. I mean, that Enzo Fernandez hammer in the back of Elliot Anderson's head could have been a life-ending injury, never mind like an injury on the pitch. There was passion from minute one. And I have to say, in a tournament, in an 8-game tournament, it does go a long way, clearly. They find themselves in the final now. And it's not to say Argentina are a bad team, because, you know, they have played fantastic football and they have found a way at the very end. And that passion comes to a boiling point, I think. And like you say, the majority of their goals have been via comebacks, like against Egypt, 3 goals in the last 11 minutes or whatever it was. And against England there, 2 goals in the last 10 minutes, which as an England fan, it was hard to take, but it was coming. They were strangling. They had us in a chokehold. It was hard. It was a hard last half an hour. Do I think that will work against Spain? I'm not sure it will. Spain and Argentina, in essence, have that very Spanish way of playing, you know, the suffocation method via passing and control and having possession, which Spain are the originators of. And I'd say Argentina play a variant of. The way I've seen Spain play in the last few games, just pure control, not only in attack through just picking away constantly until something breaks, but in defense as well, the suffocation via tiki-taka football. Look, you can't rule anything out with Argentina. They've pulled the rabbit out of the hat multiple times, and they have Lionel Messi, who is just a joke of a player. You know, he's proving this World Cup that he could have stayed in Europe for the past 3 years. It really is ridiculous. He's still probably the best player on the planet. It's hard to say. I think Argentina are Argentina, and like we saw last time against France, they had the better of France and they just about pushed it over the line. But this Spain team are very dominant. Can I see them pulling the hat out of the bag? The rabbit out the hat? I'm not sure I can. This Spain team is good. I think I can see a dominant midfield performance from Spain, which at the end of the day can overcome any team, never mind this Argentina team.
Yeah, it's hard to fully buy into a team that wins this dramatically at the end of all their games. And while there's a pattern, it's hard to say that they can pull that off against a team as refined as Spain is. The American sports comparison, I think, for what Argentina has done is what the Knicks did during their championship run, where they kept doing this. They kept making comebacks out of nowhere. They had a 22-point comeback at one point against the Cavs in game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals, and nobody saw that coming. They did it down 29 points against the Spurs, and it's one of the greatest finals wins ever and NBA playoff wins ever. So it's kind of shows that it's possible to a degree to pull off these crazy comebacks in sports in general. But I think you did a really good job of highlighting where the Knicks were able to pull those comebacks off, they were going up against teams where they could take advantage of the tiredness of the Cavs, the inexperience of the Spurs. In this situation, you have a Spain team that is as fundamentally sound as they possibly could be. And that fundamental performance allowed for them to neutralize Mbappe, something that I think that almost nobody was expecting, nobody thought was even possible. For the casual soccer fan, it was kind of stunning to see Mbappe not be able to perform at the level that he had the entire tournament, because most people were just getting this early exposure to him. What did it take for Spain to shut him down? And you kind of alluded to this and answered this a little bit, but how does that help against Argentina?
Yeah, so fundamentally, World Cups are often won in the midfield. And I said pre-tournament that I actually think Portugal would benefit from this because their midfield on paper is the best on the planet without a shadow of a doubt. PSG have been so dominant with their midfielders, and adding Bruno Fernandes to the mix, I thought that was a recipe for success. Unfortunately, their manager didn't play them in the right way. But when you have a manager like De La Fuente who's playing to the strengths of their team, Spain here have this most beautifully poised, balanced midfield, not only on the bench as well. They've got ridiculous amounts of talent, all in their own way. Your Rodris, your Fabian Ruizes, your Dani Olmos, your Pedris, they all offer something different. And in the France game, the game was 110% won in the midfield. The battles, the individual battles that went on, but also collectively suffocating that two-man midfield of France with Rabiot and Tchouaméni, who many French people after the game said, why were we playing Tchouaméni in that type of game? England suffer from this kind of problem like we saw against Argentina. Their midfielders are very physical, and I personally thought, like we saw from Arsenal this season, physicality can go a long way. But like we see from these Spanish teams, like we see from Spain, like we see from Argentina, they're about control, they're about suffocation, they're about balance, they're about possession, dictating the tempo. And when you have the best technical players in the world, especially in midfield, you will beat anyone, I think. And fundamentally, that's what football comes down to. Lionel Messi and Pep Guardiola dominated football when Messi played as a false nine, and you had four of the best technical midfielders in the world, and that's why they were so dominant. And we're seeing a similar thing here with Spain, where Oyarzabal is coming back as this false nine, and they've got four of the most technical players in the middle of the park. France had nothing. They couldn't supply anything to their attack. They were being outnumbered in the midfield. And as much as I do think Argentina have a fantastic base in the middle, and Lionel Messi is, of course, there, they're going to have to do a lot. They're going to have to overcome Spain's midfield to be able to beat that. And the fact they're bringing Pedri off the bench, to me, is crazy. He's one of the most technical, talented players in the world at Barcelona. And he's on the bench. He can't even make that midfield free because it's so perfectly poised. Argentina do have that type of aggression to be able to overcome, and I don't think we saw that from France. Tchouaméni, like I say, a bit too physical. Rabiot has the essence of technicality, a bit of a metronome, but he just couldn't get around the park enough to be able to compete with Rodri, who had one of the games of his life. And to be honest, I think if Rodri plays the way he did against Argentina in the final as he did against France, Spain have to have the dub there, because where everyone questioned, oh, that's the worst Ballon d'Or winner ever, this guy is some player. That's why he won the Ballon d'Or from defensive midfield. Unheard of. That is why. He is just such a joy to watch.
All right, let's get into picks here now that we have an understanding of what to expect from the two teams that survived this crazy tournament. Spain is the favorite at minus 150. You can get Argentina at plus 130. I think I could probably guess which way you're going here with your pick, but who are you taking?
I am, for the first time, well, not for the first time, actually. Last round, I did say Spain would progress, which was against the bookies' odds. But I am going to go for Spain again. I do think Argentina have that bit of magic. Like, you just cannot count Messi out. So it's hard to bet against them because you know he probably will do something in the match. But I'm going to go for Spain because I do think they're going to suffocate Argentina here. But I wouldn't bet against putting something on Messi, goal or assist, because that guy is inevitable, even at 39 years old.
Yeah, and I mean, heck, even for the point of in this championship setting, sure that even if he doesn't have one for most of the game, like he keeps doing, he probably produces some sort of goal or assist at the end of the game, even if it's a futile effort to beat Spain. The third place game, a lot of Americans are now getting caught up with the fact that there is a third place game. It's something that we just don't have at all in American sports. Everybody's blown away. Like, what do you mean that there's a third place game? I think that some leagues should consider adopting it, especially I'm a college football guy. I think college football could use it. I think people would watch it. They're always complaining about there not being enough money, but for this third place game, it does feel like a consolation prize. France is favored at -215, England at +172. Who do you like for this? Are you just going to continue to back your team, or do you think that France is going to finish this off?
I am in agreement. Even everyone in Europe has no clue why there is a third place playoff. I guess it's because the tournament needs to have a 1, 2, 3 like the Olympics. I'm not sure. I am not going to be backing England for this one, and that's mainly because Mbappe is chasing the goal scorer record still, and he's chasing top goal scorer, which he could actually pit Messi to the post to. And add to that to the fact that England and a lot of the English players, like your Declan Rices, like your Sakas, like some of our best players, have all had ridiculously long seasons, 60 plus games because of the Champions League and the league and all the cups. And so I have absolutely no doubt that a lot of the managers will say, I don't want any of them played. I'm not saying that won't happen for the French team as well. I assume we are going to get a bit of a blend of a second team for both nations. But I do think Mbappe will still be starting up top for France because he'll be wanting to beat Messi in the race here. And so I am going to go for France to win and Mbappe to score in this game. It would be quite funny, though, because this is a scenario where, and I said this to my friend earlier, in this situation, there's nothing really to play for. Neither team really cares in this situation. What's stopping from Harry Kane and Mbappe to just let each other score ridiculous amounts of goals so they can just like top the goal scoring record? It's a pointless prize, but that matters more than getting the third place.
Right.
It just makes no sense to me. You're right. It's such a bizarre game to be played. Yeah,
I'm curious to see how this game goes. I'm sure a lot of people are still going to watch it because it is a sporting event. It's the summer. There's not as much going on, but that's a really interesting point for what the focus ends up being for this final game. Folks, do us a favor, comment below who you think is going to win the World Cup final. Hit the like button on this video and subscribe so you don't miss out on future content. We'll talk to you later.